So I live in an ultra-conservative MAGA community. I was raised to be ultra-conservative and MAGA, but our community was actually built on cattle ranchers. And yes, every single one of these cattle ranchers in my community have been diehard MAGA. So I want to read the letter that Trump wrote to them. To the cattle ranchers, who I love that I was able to hoodwink for their vote, they are too stupid to understand that the only reason that they could possibly have any success is because I, Donald J. Trump, taxed them and their consumers with the tariffs that I placed on foreign nations. In fact, if it weren't for me, they would have to go back to doing whatever it is that they were doing before the days of cattle ranching. But it would be nice if they understood that. But these cattle ranchers need to get their prices down, because the truth is, I never cared about America first or the American farmer. If you don't believe me, just look what I did to the soybean market. I just sent $40 billion to Argentina to influence their elections. So that's why you, the American farmer, cannot have health care. And to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, I read your response about how you cannot stand behind me. Well, I warned you, all you had to do was vote for me this one time, and that would be it. So thank you.
You guys, I can't stay quiet about this. The talk about importing more foreign beef to help lower beef prices, that's not the solution. It's the same failed policy that's already hurt rural communities, shrunk our American cow herd, and handed even more control of our food supply to big corporations. Right now, the 4 big packer companies are already importing beef from like 20 different countries, including Argentina. They're allowed to sell that beef right beside American beef without a label telling you the difference in the grocery stores. Without mandatory country of origin labeling laws, you as a consumer have no way to know where your beef came from. And that's exactly how the packers like it. More imports won't fix the problem. They'll make it worse. Every pound of foreign beef that's brought in weakens our own cattle industry and puts our nation's food security further at risk. If you care about keeping America's food supply strong and supporting American ranch families, the best thing you can do is be buying ranch direct. Obviously, we'd love for that to be from us at Diamond H Ranch. But even if it's not from us, find a rancher you trust and support them. When you buy ranch direct, your money is going directly to a hardworking American ranch family. And that's the future of American beef. So buy direct, and even better, take a minute to call or email your senators and representatives, tell them to oppose any increase in beef imports from Argentina, and to stand up for American ranchers. It really does make a difference. Let's put America's cattle industry first. More imports aren't the answer. You are.
I hope you guys know how interesting things are about to get. Many of us on the left have been warning Trump supporters that Donald Trump is a toxic narcissist, as is much of the administration, and everybody eventually gets burned, and you're going to get burned. And American cattle farmers right now, we are watching a full-blown narcissist attack against cattle farmers. So if you don't know what's going on, Trump has decided that because beef is so expensive because of his tariffs and his deportations, he's going to purchase beef from Argentina. And by flooding the market with more beef, bring the costs down for all of us. And the immediate response of the American cattle farmers, almost overwhelmingly, they probably voted for Donald Trump, are like, what? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? This is hurting us. And here's where it gets interesting. Trump responded exactly like a narcissist. He essentially said, you cattle farmers don't know how good you have it under me, which is gaslighting. And he said, you guys need to lower the price of your beef because you're basically the reason beef is so expensive. Classic narcissism, classic attack. It's classic. I can tell you right now, they are going through something. If anybody's been on the receiving end of that kind of narcissistic blow,
MAGA right now, they're absolutely outraged over the fact that Mr. America First, Donald Epstein Island Trump, is bailing out Argentina's farmers before helping cattle ranchers here in the U.S. Take a look at what MAGA is saying. Here's MAGA cult ambassador, big brain Tommy Lauren. She says, "Why the actual hell would we buy Argentinian beef? Our American ranchers are getting crushed already by cheap shit foreign beef imports. The meat packers are already undercutting our American producers as it is. This is an outrage. Hashtag American beef. Hashtag Argentina." Tommy, you're almost there. Continue putting the pieces together, and you might find out that Donald Trump never cared about America's farmers. He never cared. Otherwise, why would he be putting tariffs on everything farmers need to import from other countries in order to keep their costs from skyrocketing? Why would Trump be allowing rural hospitals to shut down across the nation while simultaneously adding nearly $4 trillion to our national deficit? Donald Trump was never America first, and the sooner you realize that, Tommy Lauren, and the sooner you tell your colleagues, the sooner we can get out of this mess.
Is that consumers are paying at the grocery store is their fault. That they need to figure out how to lower their prices. Now, on October 22nd, Donald Trump said that cattle ranchers and farmers need to figure out how to lower their prices, that he understands their markets better than they do, and that they can lower their prices. This is while they're continuing to struggle. But he says the only reason that they are successful right now is because of his tariffs. The only reason they're making money right now is because of his tariffs. Meanwhile, soybean farmers are saying they haven't had a single order this quarter that has left the country. Most farms are reporting multiple $100,000 net losses this year because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And beef ranchers, well, they can't even move their cattle to market because there's nowhere to process it. Because beef processing plants are shut down because of his immigration policies, because there's not enough workers to process the beef when it comes into the processing facilities. So Donald Trump's telling ranchers and farmers he knows their market and their industry better than they do, and they just need to listen to him.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to today's episode. I want to talk about the growing controversy shaking the US cattle industry. President Donald Trump, who has long championed tariffs to protect American producers, is now proposing to import more beef from Argentina, and is telling US cattle ranchers to bring down their prices. For many in the ranching community, this feels like a betrayal. Let's discuss why it matters and what it could mean moving forward. First, beef prices in the US have surged to records high. Factors that have contributed to that is a years-long drought that has hurt grazing land, driving up feed costs and reducing the size of cattle herds. These pressures make production more expensive for ranchers. At the same time, Trump makes credit for having protected the US cattle sector through tariffs. For example, he imposed a 50% tariff on cattle from Brazil, among other measures claiming they help American producers. Now, despite that protectionist posture, Trump is suggesting that the United States should import more beef from Argentina. He urges that this would help lower retail beef prices for consumers, easing the burden of families who are struggling with the high grocery bills. It's a policy shift that is surprising even to many of his long-time supporters in the cattle industry. The reaction from US cattle producers has been very strong. Ranchers and industry groups like the National Cattlemen's Beef Association are pushing back, warning that boosting Argentine beef imports could undermine the domestic beef industry. For them, it's more than a pricing issue. It's a question of survival and the future of American cattle farming. Many say that Trump's move undercuts the very procedures his tariffs were supposed to help. Ranchers argue that being competitive isn't just about volume but about the ability to invest, rebuild herds and plan for long term. Importing large volumes of foreign beef, they fear could erode their profit margins. Some ranchers describe the proposal as a slap in the face after years of hardship. But will importing Argentine beef actually lower US prices in a meaningful way? Many experts are skeptical. First, the scale of the import masters, even with a bigger quota. Argentina's beef may not be enough to dramatically change the supply-demand balance in the US market. Some import projections suggest that even a significant increase would mostly affect liner trimmings commonly used in ground beef, rather than the premium cuts that many consumers buy. Second, there is a question of timing. Ranchers argue that simply telling them to get their prices down ignores the real cost they face: land, labor, feed, and recovery from drought. Lowering prices isn't as simple as flipping a switch, especially when rebuilding herds takes time, often years. Furthermore, the uncertainty created by this policy could disincentivize ranchers from investing more. If producers think the government might undercut them with foreign competition, they may be less likely to expand their operations, hampering long-term domestic production growth. From a policy standpoint, Trump's move reflects a balancing act, or perhaps a contradiction. On one hand, he defends tariffs as a shield for US producers. On the other hand, is relaxing certain limits or boosting quotas for imports from Argentina to cool consumers' prices. This dual strategy is raising questions. Is it about helping American consumers in the short term, or is there a geopolitical aim in strengthening ties with Argentina? While there is a plan from the USDA to support domestic ranchers, including expanding grazing land, boosting processing capacity, and promoting American beef in schools, many producers feel these promises don't go far enough. They worry that the immediate influx of imported beef will undermine their ability to capitalize on any long-term policy support. Ranching isn't just a business, it's a way of life, deeply rooted in rural communities. For many ranchers, this isn't only about profits, it's about legacy, independence, and preserving a vital part of America's agricultural identity. When a policy seems to side with foreign producers over homegrown ones, it breeds resentment. This tension is exacerbated by the fact that many of these ranchers have historically supported Trump and now feel their loyalty is being repaid with a policy that cuts into their own markets. The sense of betrayal is very real, and it could have long-term political as well as economic consequences. So what could happen next includes several paths ahead. First, ranchers may continue to push back, and Trump could face pressure to scale back or modify the import plan. There could be room for a deal that protects ranchers while still allowing some extra Argentine beef in. Second, the administration might follow through on its promises to support domestic production, with funding for processors and expansion of grazing allotments that could help ranchers ramp up capacity over time. Third, if imports do increase significantly, domestic producers may need to become more efficient, diversify their business models, or explore new markets. Consolidation could happen, or smaller ranchers might struggle unless adaptation occurs. Fourth, ranchers who feel betrayed could become more vocal, and some may demand stronger policies, guarantees, or push for trade protections that more strictly limit beef imports. Now, as I conclude, President Trump's plan to import more beef from Argentina while urging US ranchers to cut their prices has struck a nerve in America's cattle country. What's being debated is more than just a trade trick. It's a test of whether a protectionist agenda can be balanced with consumer pressures without harming the very producers the policies were meant to shield. For consumers, more supply and lower prices may sound appealing, but for ranchers, this could be a turning point not just economically but culturally. The stakes are high, and the outcome could reshape US beef production for years to come. As the dialogue continues, one thing is clear: this is not a simple matter of trade, but of trust. Thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.